Today we're looking at some insanely amazing deals on Steam right now, and I mean they are ridiculous. I will be talking about these games starting from lowest to highest discount. Norco 67% off, $4.94. So starting off, we have Norco 67% off for about $5. This is a narrative heavy adventure with a really unique sci-fi southern setting. It's more about story and atmosphere than gameplay, but if you're into deep, weird, and thought-provoking experiences, this one hits hard. Then we have Risk of Rain 2, 67% off for $8. This is one of the best roguelikes out there, especially with friends. You start off weak, but by the end you're just broken, flying across the map, destroying everything. With friends, this gets chaotic in the best way possible. Then there, GTFO, 68% off for $13. This is a hardcore co-op horror shooter that really tests teamwork. It's not easy at all, but if you've got friends and want something intense and tactical, this is a solid pick. The Last Clockwinder, 70% off for about $7. This one's super creative. You basically create clones of your own actions to solve puzzles. It's one of those games where the concept alone makes it worth trying. Next is Boyfriend Dungeon, 70% off for $6. Yeah, this one's different. It's a mix of dungeon crawling and dating sim where your weapons literally turn into people. Weird concept, but surprisingly fun. Then we have Oxygen Not Included, 70% off for $7.50. This is a deep colony sim where you're managing oxygen, food, and survival underground. It's one of those games that looks simple until you actually start playing it. Things like managing oxygen, food, stress, everything at once gets complicated fast, but that's what makes it so addictive. If you like management games, this is a deep one. Then we have this small kind of fun game called Carding, 72% off for literally 55 cents. At this point, it's cheaper than anything. If you just want a quick, simple racing game for almost nothing, why not? Or you can go with Prison Simulator, 74% off for under $4. You're managing prisoners, making decisions, and trying to keep everything under control. It's a bit janky, but also kind of entertaining for the price. Refunct, 75% off for 74 cents. This is a super chill, short platformer with relaxing vibes. No stress, no enemies. It's all about jumping around, restoring color to the world. It's a perfect little break game underscore. Then we have Sable, 75% off for $6. This is all about exploration with a beautiful, unique art style. There's no combat, just wandering, discovering, and vibing in a peaceful open world. Next is 2 Point Campus, 75% off for $7.50. This is a super fun management sim where you're building and running your own university. It's got that goofy humor, but also some really addictive systems once you get into optimizing everything. Nuclear Blaze, 75% off for $2.50. This is a fast-paced firefighter action game where you're putting out fires and rescuing people. It's got a simple concept, but really polished and surprisingly intense at times. Next is Killer Frequency, 75% off for $6. You play as a radio host helping callers survive a serial killer in real time. It's such a cool idea, and the choices you make actually matter. Then we got one of Guacamelee series game called Super Turbo Championship Edition, 75% off for under $4. This is a super fun Metroidvania with tight combat, great platforming, and co-op. It's colorful, fast, and just a blast to play. Next is Undertale, the indie masterpiece from the past, which is 75% off for $2.50. This one's a classic at this point. The writing, characters, and choices you make completely change the experience. What makes this game special is how it plays with your choices. You can go full pacifist or just wipe everything out, and the game reacts in ways you don't expect. It's simple, but it sticks with you. Then we have Resident Evil Village, 75% off for $10. A mix of horror and action with some really memorable moments and locations. It's not as scary as some others, but it's a super polished and fun experience overall. Next is Hades, 75% off for $6, and it's honestly ridiculous. This is one of the few roguelikes where I never got bored doing runs over and over again. The combat is insanely smooth, but what really got me was how the story keeps progressing every single time you die. It never feels repetitive, and that's why it's so easy to sink hours into it. And then we got Little Triangle, 84% off for $160. A simple platformer with a clean art style and some tricky levels. For this price, it's a nice little challenge to mess around with. Then we have this popular puzzle game called Figment, 80% off for $4. This is a really unique action adventure set inside the human mind. It mixes puzzles, combat, and even musical boss fights. Yeah, bosses literally sing at you. Next is LEGO Marvel Super Heroes 2, 80% off for $4, which offers classic LEGO formula, with tons of characters, fun co-op, and a lighthearted story. It's just easy, enjoyable fun for pretty much anyone. Next is Hubris, 80% off for $6. This is more of a VAR-focused sci-fi adventure with exploration and combat. Visually, it's really impressive, and if you've got VAR, this is a solid pickup at this price. Then we got Temtem, 80% off for $9. Think Pokemon, but as an MO. You're catching creatures, battling, and exploring with other players. If you like that formula, this is a great deal. Then there's Alba, a wildlife adventure, 80% off for $3.40. A super wholesome game where you explore an island, take photos, and help animals. Just a really relaxing and feel-good experience. Next is The Quarry, 85% off for $9. It's basically an interactive horror movie. What I like about it is playing it with friends and letting everyone vote on decisions. The story can go in so many directions depending on what you do, which makes it super replayable. Then we got Grim Dawn for under $4 is actually insane if you're into Diablo-style games. The amount of builds and loot in this game is crazy, and you can spend hours just tweaking your character. It's one of those games where you lose track of time without even realizing it. Next is Bastion, 85% off for just over $2. One of the most beloved indie games ever, with great narration, music, and combat. For this price, it's a must-play. Then we got Gravel, 90% off for $2. An arcade off-road racing game that's all about speed and fun. Not super deep, but for $2, it's an easy grab. And then we have Demolish & Build 2017, 94% off for just over $1. You literally go around tearing buildings down with machines. It's simple, a bit janky, but honestly kind of satisfying for this price.